Okay. Did you get a haircut? Alright. So my speech is called Role and Corrections, and it's about gender discrimination. And gender discrimination in the workplace is a pretty serious issue. We're slowly starting to overcome it. In the 1840s, the first women's rights meeting was held, and 80 years later, we finally had the right to vote. In 1964, Civil Rights Act gave women equal rights in the workplace, and thanks to the Civil Rights Act, we're discriminated against when it comes to employment, so they say. Even so, there's a lot of jobs out there that are considered men's jobs.
Like law enforcement happens to be one of those. And the women of law enforcement face a really special challenge, and special, because they're discriminated against every day, both intentionally and unintentionally, for the most part. When I went to Post Academy, they taught me that gender has nothing to do with how an officer performs their job. Unfortunately, even though things are getting better, that's ideal is rarely actually in practice. I was very rarely referred to as Officer Wilkinson. Instead, I had plenty of cute little titles and nicknames. The very first day that I was in the segregation unit, the inmates started making loud comments to each other, and I'm talking about my body and how it looked, and they started calling me Officer Bubbles because of my butt. At the time, my training officer didn't do anything about it, and that was just something that I was going to have to learn to deal with by myself. Not only the inmates actually gave me my nicknames, a lot of times it was officers too. My sergeant really enjoyed calling me Pumpkin, and he would wrap his arm around me, and he seemed to have no idea that that undermined my authority with the inmates. Other fellow officers with really good intentions would run to help me all the time with really simple things that I could obviously accomplish by myself, and they would call me young lady and give me little pats, and they really didn't understand that that also didn't help with my authority with the inmates. And very occasionally there was just blatant discrimination. I overheard once two male officers talking about how women in corrections were completely useless, and they were upset because they had to do the bulk of the strip searches, but they were concentrating on saying if I was in a dangerous situation, I would not want a woman to back me up, and they are completely useless in corrections. Sexual harassment was actually really common, probably unintentional in some cases, such as fellow officers commenting on my hair and my eyes and commenting on my butt, because that was a very popular subject. They felt they were doing a good thing by complimenting me, and my sergeant and several lieutenants would always run up and give me hugs and cuddles, and they really didn't do that with the male officers, so it was kind of one-sided there. Sexual harassment at its worst. I was offered $100 if I would sleep with the fellow officer, and another officer started spreading rumors that I slept around with everybody, and yet another officer attempted to invite me to come home with him and have sex with him and his girlfriend. That was very uncomfortable for me. In conclusion, it's not fair that women have to work harder to prove that they're valuable employees, but it does seem necessary for us to break the stereotypes. And hopefully one day there'll come a time when we don't have to prove how tough that they can be. But until then, I think we should all consider whether our behavior is taking part in stereotyping people unintentionally. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Yay!
I really hope that this thing captured it all.